Calling of the roll.
Councilmember Andrews.
Here.
Commissioner Ellis.
Here.
Commissioner Heinz. Commissioner DeBrava. Commissioner Hyder.
Here.
And Commissioner Campbell.
Here.
Okay. Do you want to favor us with the, Chris, with the meeting procedures?
Certainly. The Planning and Zoning Commission holds public hearings as required by law and provides recommendations to City Council on matters relating to land use planning, zoning, and the subdivision of land. Any person who has an interest in the subject matter of a hearing will have the opportunity to provide testimony and present evidence to the Commission during the public hearing. Speakers are required to conduct themselves in an orderly and respectful manner. Disruptive behavior, including applause, yelling, speaking out of turn, or other inappropriate behaviors, will not be tolerated. Additionally, the following applies to any person addressing the Commission. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes unless authorized additional time by the chairperson. Speakers must speak at the podium unless previous arrangements have been made by the chairperson. Speakers must legibly print their names and addresses on the sign-in sheet at the podium prior to speaking. Speakers must begin by stating their name and address. Speakers should speak clearly and into the microphone. The chairperson will announce the subject of the hearing, followed by a report from staff. The chairperson will then open the public hearing to the applicant, followed by those in favor of the application, and then by those opposed. The chairperson will close the public hearing. During this time, the Commission will discuss amongst themselves. The public may not address the Commission after the close of the public hearing unless requested by the chairperson. The Planning and Zoning Commission shall base their recommendation and/or decision on information and evidence presented during the public hearing. This decision, if required by the application, will be forwarded in writing to City Council for further consideration.
Thank you, sir. First order of business for us is to approve the agenda. It's on the walls, and it may be in front of you. So anybody that has any questions about that, let's talk about it. Otherwise, let's approve it.
Chairman, I motion to approve the agenda for the November 8th, 2021 meeting.
Thank you, sir. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Andrews.
Aye.
Commissioner Ellis.
Aye.
Commissioner Hyder.
Aye.
Commissioner Campbell.
Aye.
We good? Okay, next item of business is the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. You have them in your packets. October 12th, 2021 meeting. Any changes? If not, let's hear a motion.
Chairman, I motion to approve the minutes from the October 12th, 2021 meeting.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Andrews.
Aye.
Commissioner Ellis.
Aye.
Commissioner Hyder.
Aye.
Commissioner Campbell.
Aye.
Thank you. All right. We have one public hearing, rezone 21-013, a public hearing and possible vote to recommend rezone application by MMRS to amend the zoning map for 3 acres at 602 North Oakwood Avenue from agricultural to multifamily residential R3. Chris, do you want to give us the lowdown on this, please?
So MMRS LLC has applied to change the zoning classification of approximately 3 acres of property located at 602 North Oakwood Avenue from agricultural to multifamily. The property subject to the rezoning is currently vacant. The applicant tends to utilize the property for apartments. The following paragraphs contain brief analysis of the present site conditions as well as the proposal's relationship to adopted plans of the city. The city's comprehensive plan generally encourages the expansion of residential development through proactive rezoning of land at appropriate locations. Appropriate locations are described generally throughout the plan with regard to the relationship of land at particular locations to infrastructure capable of supporting various intensities and densities of uses. Goal 1, support market conditions to develop a greater variety of residential and commercial options. And Objective 1B, promote a variety of housing developments and styles to ensure a range of options are available. The general trend in the vicinity of the subject property along this area is residential of varying intensities. The compatibility of surrounding uses for the subject property. It is directly adjacent to multifamily residential R3 to the north and east. Across Oakwood Avenue to the west are medium-density single-family lots in the Windmill Place subdivision. The property across Heinz Street to the south is not annexed into the city and has a county zoning of agricultural. The land use permitted in the multifamily residential zoning district includes all intensities of residential use. Development on the parcel will require connection to city water and sewer services. Water service will be provided through a looped connection from the 8-inch water main running along the west side of North Williams Avenue to the parcel's northern property line to the 8-inch water main in Oakwood Heights First Edition to the east. The development will connect to the sanitary sewer mains present in Oakwood Heights First Edition. The sanitary sewer system flows to the Schuler Creek lift station before traveling through a force main to the wastewater treatment facility. The water and sewer systems currently have the capacity to serve the potential development. A traffic impact study was not required for this rezone due to the recent improvements made by the city in the area. Impacted roadways have previously been built out to support the trips generated by the change in land use. The subject parcel does not contain a special flood hazard area. The subject parcel does not contain any identified sinkholes. Staff considers the proposed zoning and map amendment rezoning to be generally consistent with the goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan, consistent with the trend of development in the vicinity of the site, compatible with surrounding land uses, and able to be adequately served by municipal facilities. Based upon this analysis performed without the benefit of evidence and testimony of a public hearing, staff recommends the approval of this application.
Thank you. First persons I'll hear from are the applicants. If the applicants are here, you want to come forward and talk to us about your application for a rezone, I'd be glad to listen. I am the applicant. Yes, sir. Come forward, tell us who you are, and give us your comments.
Hear me okay? Yeah. My name is Kenneth Appleberry. I am the actual owner of Oakwood Heights Townhomes and the Phase 1 and then the Phase 2 that's currently under construction on New Turner Street, which is the east side of that purple on the map. Basically, we're trying to purchase the 3 acres that's up for rezoning. Currently, we don't own it, but we paid for the rezoning and have it under contract contingent upon the rezoning being approved at R3. Because we basically want to continue to do the same thing in that 3-acre plot as we already own on William Street, Haley Street, and then the new Turner Street that connects to Heinz.
Thank you. Anything
You're welcome.
else? All right. Now I'll hear from anyone who supports the motion or the petition for a rezone, if any. No one coming forward. I'll now hear from anyone who opposes the rezone. Come forward, sir, and give us your name and tell us what you want us to know.
I'm going to put a little timer here to make sure that I don't go over my time. Hello, my name is Jake Wilburn. I live at 571 Cottonwood Circle. You can see me there on the little map. My backyard and my fence runs parallel to Heinz Street. I'm not the one closest to the corner, but the next one over there. I was given a binary choice of, support or not support. So I guess given that choice, this is where I fall. When I moved in 2009, I pretty much knew that something was going to go in that lot eventually with the way Republic was going to grow. So I'm not necessarily opposed to something going in that vacant space, but being that it is apartments, there are just a few things that I would like to offer up for everyone's consideration and possibly consideration of the council when they go to vote on this as well. The first is infrastructure. There is on South Oakwood, if you go on Heinz and Oakwood and go south, there's a sidewalk that kind of stops abruptly there before it gets to the Schuler Creek Trail. And frequently I see mothers with strollers, people walking their dogs, and they, instead of walking on the grass, there's a kind of a drainage thing that's right there. They can't, there's no more sidewalks, so they will walk on the busy street of Oakwood, and cars will have to go around them on that 2-lane road. So if an apartment complex is added on that corner, it's going to encourage more foot traffic to the Schuler Creek Trail, which we're building all the way out to Wilson's Creek eventually. So that is one thing that I would like for both this commission and the city to consider if this is approved, is continuing the sidewalk all the way to the Schuler Creek Trail, because otherwise there's going to be a lot more foot traffic on Oakwood, and that seems to be dangerous. The second thing is privacy. So I've not seen any mock-up of what these apartments look like, but even if they are simply 2-story apartments, it would be very easy for whoever is on their deck, should they be facing my house, to be able to see in my backyard. With the way that the hills are, even when you're driving on Heinz, and it's already pretty easy to see my back deck and in my backyard. And so I went out tonight and kind of looked in that direction, and if there's somebody on a 2- or 3-story apartment building, I'm close enough to see what they're eating for dinner. So I am slightly concerned about the privacy of myself and my neighbors being able to see in my backyard, should they be more than 1 story. And the third thing is that area is also not very well lit. If you drive to Heinz and Oakwood on Heinz heading east at night, it gets very dark in that intersection. And if we have an apartment complex there, again, it's increased people, increased foot traffic. The close by apartments at 1405 East Heinz, as well as the Republic Palms apartments, don't exactly have a good reputation for being a safe and low crime area of our city. So encouraging more apartments right there and not having the necessary lighting right behind my house is something that I'm also concerned. So I'm not trying to stop progress, but should these apartments be approved, I would like that to be under consideration, that A, the sidewalk to Schuler Creek probably needs to be finished. B, there is a privacy concern with being able to see in the backyards of the residential area there. And 3, street lighting probably needs to be improved, both for the safety of drivers and to deter crime. And that is all I have to say. Thank you for considering my thoughts.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else opposed? Ma'am?
Good evening. My name is Angela Lindeman. I live at 562 Cottonwood Circle, Jake's neighbor. I live in the house just south on Oakwood from the intersection. My thoughts and concerns are primarily the same as his. Number one being the invasion of privacy. Anything above a 1-story house is going to be looking directly into my backyard, not only into my backyard, but into the back windows of my home. They'll be able to see in my bedroom window, they'll be able to see in my kitchen window, they'll be able to see in my spare bedroom window and my dining room window. I have a swimming pool. I've spent a lot of time and money investing in my backyard. I spend a lot of time back there, I entertain back there, and anything more than a 1-level structure, they will be looking directly into my backyard and into the back of my home, which is a huge privacy concern for me, not just for privacy, but safety. You know, he mentioned briefly about we've had some crime issues with those other apartment complexes there, depending on what kind of structure is being put in here now and what kind of people are going to be living there is going to determine who's looking in my kitchen window. So it is a huge safety concern for me. And that's something that I would desperately like to have addressed. As he said, I knew at some point something would go in there. If it was duplexes, single-family homes, that I would not be so opposed to, as somebody who's going to be looking directly into my home, and that is a huge safety factor for me. And that's really all I have to say.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak as being opposed to the petition, the request? Hearing none, we'll close this hearing. We'll now discuss the matter among our commission. Tell me again, Chris, what is these two speakers? Is that are they R1M?
If I understand correctly, you guys live southwest of the intersection, is that right?
If I can project a map that I can show you directly. So this would be where they're building, and this is my house right here.
Okay, you're catty corner from the construction.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
They're R1H, so high density residential.
Okay. And I thought I heard you say, just so I get it clear again, I thought you indicated that, Chris, that there was R3 surrounding this
There is,
directly.
I indicated to
Three
the
sides?
to the east and to the top, there's R3. Then there was across R1M and across
Oh, I
to the
see.
south, county land that's agricultural.
Okay, got it. Which will develop at some point, probably, come into the city. Anyone else have?
Is the plan to continue North Williams Avenue all the way to East Heinz? Is that? No. No.
No, actually, there'll be a knuckle cul-de-sac. Williams will continue south to about the center of that 3 acres, and then it will turn back to the east, and it'll hit what is Turner Street there currently. It doesn't show it on your deal, but there's a new street we've already put in there, Turner, and so there's basically an L shape with a knuckle corner at that point. So that piece of property is only accessible through R3 zoning, which is Williams Street and Turner Street. There's no access to that property from Heinz or from Oakwood. So the truth is, if anybody wanted to build an R1 single family residential house there, number one, you could build it 2 stories. You could just do that as a builder. Number two, you would have to drive through R3 to get to that one plot of ground to get to your house. So our thinking and the master plan with this whole thing, with the original developer in 2007, was that was supposed to be R3 as well. It just didn't make it that far with the whole recession and everything that happened at that point. We're basically bought it after the fact, picking up the pieces, and are basically just trying to develop what was planned, initially. So our plan is to do condo type townhomes. They are 2-story, but they're not stackable apartments where you have one family living on floor 1, one family living on floor 2, or a 3rd floor for that. These are just basically what we're building now is like an 11-plex, so to speak. You have a single-car garage, you have bedrooms upstairs, your living and your kitchen are downstairs, and we just are continuing the same thing that's already in that area. So stackable apartments per se is not what we're intending to build there.
Mike, allowed to ask a question?
If you do, I think you need to come up front. I neglected that. Could you hear that okay?
At this point in time, though, the public comment section has been closed.
Oh, you're correct. I'm sorry. She wanted to ask a question. I don't have a problem hearing from anybody concerning questions that have come up among the parties. It serves to help us understand.
That being the
As far as the legality, I'll let Mike, but if anyone does want to have, if there's comment, it does need to be in the microphone.
Okay.
and with that, if there is an inquiry, I mean, I think it is permissible at this point. But I would just like to limit the participation from the public because public comment period has closed.
Appreciate it. I've been doing this quite a while. We just want to try and get everything we need to know. So I don't think we want to engage in a debate.
Sure.
We definitely don't want to go back and forth. sometimes if you have questions of the applicant, you can go directly to the applicant after the meeting and talk to them. That's probably the best way, because some of these things we may not be able to resolve. So go ahead and ask your question, and maybe it'll raise a question with the commission and we can deal with it.
I just want to make sure I'm understanding that you're saying that you're not going to build.
Now, direct your
sorry.
question to us.
I just want to make sure that, what I understand him to say is that they're not going to build stacked apartments. It's going to be townhomes.
That's what I heard him say.
That's what I heard.
Okay.
And I took that to mean that there was going to be stairways on the inside of each unit, that so you have one, let's say, family or one occupant in that townhome. They might be able to go up and down stairs, but they're not going to be resident 100% of the time when they're there in the upper floor.
But he did not say if there would be balconies on the second floor.
I have no idea. We don't have a lot of control over the design of buildings.
Which is my concern.
I'm sorry, but that's the
I
way
know.
the zoning works. If it's in compliance with with an R3 regulations, then it's in compliance with the regulations. And if that's 3 floors, 5 floors, 10 floors, that's what it is. We've gone through this a lot, so.
I understand. That's my concern.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Commission have any other questions or comments? Concerns?
Ransom.
Yes,
Just from the city's perspective, I'll go ahead and address just a couple
Please
of
do.
comments that we heard
please do.
and for the commission. So the sidewalk on South Oakwood, that is an identified gap between our Schuler Creek Trail and the sidewalk system that we have, and we are actually working on programming that. I can't promise that it'll be this year, hopefully next year, but it is something that we've identified as a connection that needs to be made. So we're aware of that. The second one that we're aware of, and not the first time we've heard the concerns, is the lighting of the intersection at Oakwood and Heinz, and we're working on that too.
But not necessarily in connection with this rezone.
No. Most of the concerns with the intersection are just related to traffic in general, no directly related to the rezone.
Chris, review with us, if you would, the buffering requirement for R3. There wouldn't be any here, would there? Because it's catty corner.
Right, as it would be next to adjacent, the only property it would be adjacent to would be the R3 that's existing there.
Yeah, and if the agricultural land ultimately became R3, let's say, they would have the buffering responsibility if they're next to anyone.
I don't believe they would be required to buffer in this case, as they would be coming in second. The buffering responsibility, I
Well,
believe,
there's
would,
2 streets there around that, right?
right.
It's all right. You're right, though. They wouldn't have a buffering responsibility on the street.
No,
Okay. And I don't see a buffering responsibility here. I'm sorry, but I just don't think and you can correct me, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't see a buffering responsibility between the people that made the comments, the citizens that made the comments, and the R3.
we do have some requirements that mediate height based on degree of view, but it is highly unlikely to affect this property. They're really geared toward very large projects that would tower over and rather than view into, more impose themselves upon a close property. You won't see that in this. These, especially if the developer does build out the property as he's planned. I would like to point out that we are not addressing the particular development though, but the rezone of the property. So once the property is rezoned, it would be,
Right.
Any developer could hypothetically purchase that and create whatever R3 project they would want.
That's why I said what I said. Any other questions, comments from the commission?
gonna be me. We've got a motion.
I'll take one.
Motion to approve the zoning map for 3 acres at 602 North Oakwood Avenue from agricultural ag to multifamily residential R3. That's rezone 21-013 on the docket.
And that would be a recommendation to
Approve.
rezone the application. Recommend rezone application.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, everybody understand the motion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Ellis,
Aye.
Commissioner Campbell,
Aye.
Commissioner Hyder,
Aye.
Commissioner Andrews.
Aye.
We appreciate input from everyone on these projects. We're bound a lot of times with what the rules are with respect to the development and what the rules are with respect to rezoning. I can certainly understand your concerns. Thank you. Next item of business is Sub D Pre 21-002, possible vote to recommend the approval of an application for a preliminary plat for, is that Josan, Josan, properties, a commercial subdivision consisting of approximately 5.7 acres located at 3030 East US Highway 60. Chris?
Josan Properties Arkansas LLC has requested review and approval of a preliminary plat of approximately 5.7 acres. Josan Properties consisting of 2 general commercial C2 zoned lots and infrastructure. Preliminary plats are reviewed for their conformance with the following review criteria to ensure the development in the proposed location. 1, will not endanger the public health or safety. 2, will not injure the value of adjoining property or abutting property. 3, will be in conformity with the comprehensive plan, transportation plan, zoning code, water system master plan, wastewater system facility plan, or other plans officially adopted by the City Council. And 4, will be in harmony with the area in which it is located. Preliminary plats are reviewed by the city planner and the city engineer in conformance with the requirements of Chapter 410 of Republic's Municipal Code, the comprehensive plan, and all applicable city-adopted codes and regulations. The property subject to this preliminary plat application is comprised of approximately 5.7 acres of land located at 3030 East US Highway 60. The property is zoned general commercial and appropriate for commercial subdivision. The following paragraphs contain brief analysis of the application's conformity with the preliminary plat review criteria identified above. The referenced preliminary plat contains 2 commercial lots and associated easements to support the development of the subdivision. The preliminary plat proposes utilizing the existing westernmost commercial entrance to the property to serve both lots. A new 35-foot wide cross-access easement between the 2 lots will be provided for access. The existing easternmost commercial entrance will be removed as required by the Traffic Impact Study, MoDOT, and the City of Republic for compliance with the safety standards and the adopted plans of these organizations. The entrance will be reconstructed to function as a right-in, right-out. Additional upgrades required by the TIS and MoDOT may include channelizers or barriers in the US Highway 60 median to prevent left-hand turn lanes into and out of the subject parcel. MoDOT and the Builds Department will review the infrastructure and building plans for the development of the subject parcels, particulars regarding the construction of required improvements and the removal of existing improvements will be specified during these processes. The reference parcel currently has access to municipal water and sewer. Municipal water runs parallel to US Highway 60 at the front of the property. The need for an additional water main internal to the property and/or a water main looping will be dependent upon proposed building construction and will be evaluated at the time of plan submittal. An existing sanitary sewer line is located on the southern portion of the property. The preliminary plat proposes an additional sanitary sewer main parallel to US Highway 60, which is proposed to provide service to any buildings with direct frontage on US Highway 60. The sanitary sewer system flows to the McElhaney lift station and then on to the Schuler Creek lift station before traveling to the wastewater treatment facility. The water and sewer system currently have the capacity to serve the potential development. The preliminary plat of Joseon Properties has been platted for the construction of 2 commercial lots and associated infrastructure, including public water and sanitary sewer mains and stormwater detention. Regarding floodplain, the subject does not contain a special flood hazard area. Sinkholes, the subject parcel does contain a very small portion of an identified sinkhole at the southwest corner of the subject property. The preliminary plat has been designed to incorporate the required 30-foot sinkhole buffer. Regarding stormwater, the preliminary plat contains a stormwater detention area near the eastern property line. The area will be designed to discharge post-development flow to less than or equal to pre-development flow from the property. A stormwater report will be reviewed by the TRT during infrastructure design review. The stormwater detention area and all open space common area will be maintained by a property's owners association with such language included in the final plat. The design of the roadway entrances, water and sanitary sewer systems, and stormwater detention will be reviewed and permitted during the infrastructure permitting process. Staff considers the proposed preliminary plat in general conformity with the requirements for preliminary plats and is recommending approval of the application.
Anybody have any questions? In the hearing, but we can hear from the applicant, right?
Yes. Yes, I'll so that people can hear me.
Yeah, my name is Chris Wynn. I'm a civil engineer with CJW, located at 5051 South National Avenue in Springfield, Missouri. We're representing the developer and owner on this property. You know, city staff's handled it pretty well and has told you basically everything you need to know. We're in compliance with all the city regulations at this point. The plan for this property right now is to put in retail along Highway 60 with storage units in the rear of the property, detention basin along the east side. The smaller lot in the northeast corner was originally set up for a smaller coffee shop. I'm not sure if that's still the plan, but that lot will be created for could be for a smaller user such as a small coffee shop, or later down the road we could come back and combine that lot back into the larger one if need be. But really, I'm just here to answer any questions that you guys may or may not have. Thank you.
Thank you. What say you? Sorry.
Can we
What say you?
go back to the? Did you? I'm sorry, I probably missed this. Did you say there was a traffic study?
So
it was a right in, right out.
So currently, access comes near the top corner of that. And the access, if I'm not mistaken, comes into the right turn.
Yeah.
You want to speak to this?
Sure. Yeah, currently there are 2 accesses on to US 60 from this parcel, both of which would not be in conformance with if this was a brand new parcel today. So as part of the redevelopment of this lot, the one closest to MM intersection, which is the one that Chris referred to as being in the right turn lane, is going to go away, and the one that is existing will become a right in, right out. So you can only turn right in, right out of it. There's no cross traffic across US 60 from there.
Can you explain the channelizers and the possible barricade on the left turn?
Sure. So channelizers are those like little white things they have sticking up out of the road sometimes to hopefully stop people from cutting across there, but you can run them over. A barricade would be a little, if people are running them over constantly, a barricade may be necessary. That should stop people.
It's similar to what's in front of Aldi's
Okay, so
right now.
so the plan wouldn't be, if you're traveling towards Republic on 60, they're not going to be able to cut across. I mean, there's obviously a lane there for them to do that, but we're hoping they don't. Is that?
Right, and it'll require the proper signage on the other side of the road, a do not enter, like enough to say that, no, you can't get in here from this way.
I just from personal experience, getting into come and go on the opposite way, going out of Republic, taking a left, I can't imagine if there was a high traffic volume coming towards me, because people don't play very well on there. I was just curious, because it seems that place does get congested several times throughout the day. Okay.
Yeah, I think the intent of the channelizers would be to run along that left turn lane. So once you get in to go to come and go, you can't get back out, and then vice versa, you couldn't cut across from the other direction to get into this parcel.
Any other questions, comments? Motions?
Got a motion to approve the application for a preliminary plat for Joseon Properties located at 3030 East US Highway 60. That's sub D-PRE 21-002 on the docket.
Again, that would be vote to recommend the approval of, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. With that correction, do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. You want to call the roll?
Councilmember Hyder,
Aye.
Councilmember Andrews,
Aye.
Councilmember Ellis,
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell.
Aye.
We come to the citizen thank you very much.
Thank you.
Come to the citizen participation portion of the meeting. If anyone's here that wishes to give us something in our ear, one way or another, preferably not about what we've already discussed, please come forward. There's not too many possible people that can come forward. Okay, I see no one coming. We'll move to the ever popular Community Development Department update.
Thank you. I'll make it quick, I promise. City's entering into the budget season, so we've had one meeting with the council, a study session already for the 2022 budget. November 16th will be the first hearing of that budget. So looking forward to sharing that in the vision for the city for 2022. That will be available online, but we'll certainly make it available to the commissioners as well. I'd like to recognize Mr. John Alexander, who's graciously stayed with us the entire time. Staff is recommending him for appointment to the P&Z Commission to the council. And I'm not sure that that's making it to the 16th, but I think that it is. Chris, is that on the agenda for the 16th? I believe it is. Okay. So the mayor would look to appoint him on the 16th, and then he would join us for the December meeting. So other than that, things are moving along. The city's growing. It's an exciting time in Republic. That's it.
Thank you. Comprehensive plan update? None. Thank you. Do I hear a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Cynthia. You can second.
I'll
if you'd
second that
like.
one.
Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Andrews,
Aye.
Commissioner Ellis,
Aye.
Commissioner Hyder,
Aye.
Commissioner Campbell.
Aye.